That is the sound of a distracted, divided, and dead American until they hear. Battle for freedom, triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Hello, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio. Listen, it is the Age of Nefarious, the Age of Nefarious. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom of Mojo 50 Radio. And before we get into everything we're going to be talking today, I want you to start your day off with some American Pride Roasters coffee, because of the fact that this is how we make a change to the thing called crazy, the thing called, let's see, just how we start this insanity called America in the Age of Nefarious. I was thinking the Age of Aquarius, but you'll get it in a second here. American Pride Roasters Coffee. Take a listen here.
That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters Coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo 50 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation. American Pride Roasters.
American Pride Roasters, share it with as many people as you possibly can. Listen, folks, as we get through the Age of Nefarious, vaccines, lockdowns, and no liberty, I want you to understand that it's okay. It's all right. We will survive this, as insane as it is. And if you have been struggling on trying to survive this, my name is Watson Prunier. My website is battle4freedom.com. I want you to go there. But I also want you to do me a favor. I want you to check out another one of our sponsors as we try to make sense of this insanity called the Age of Nefarious. Now, if you haven't watched and seen the opening scene, I have this rainbow colored over a whole bunch of people looking down, going about their day because they're just wearing their masks, obediently wearing their masks. But here you go, New Life Holistic, another. Well, you may have symbols of Aquarius on here, but it's nothing like that, and it's all about getting you moved in the right direction.
Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom has sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic.
Yes, New Life Holistic. Get your I guess if it would be great if you can see me again. Get your subscription today, not subscription. Just contact Anthony Malchiotti and get yourself healed as we move in the right direction with all the craziness, all the insanity that's going on right now. The Age of Nefarious is where we are right now. And if you want to interact, do me a favor, go to facebook.com/Mojo50 Radio. We see a lot of people who are joining part of this morning. I see Sarah, I see Brian, Mitch, Curtis, Linda, Lisa, and Jillian, and Josh, and Paige. Thank you for joining and being part of the program. As we start this week off, I don't know what your weekend was like, but mine was really good, and it was a great time. As usual, God is good all the time. As we sit here, the reason why I went with the Age of Nefarious is because of the fact that I saw this thing earlier. Here it is. So there is this new thing now where, of course, because of the fact that all these other doctrines, all these other ways of thinking have been embraced for far too long, and we're thinking about, finding the truth in all these other different sources, all these different other ways, trying to create our realities to be the way we want. Because the thing I don't understand here with this whole idea of controlling our destinies and everything like that, this is the one of the things that I don't understand in a lot of the positive thinking, a lot of the positive preaching that's out there. When people sit there and they try, and it's funny that actually I'm talking about this a week after I talked about my hate and disdain for motivational speakers, but I find this very interesting as they sit here talking about the whole idea of this positive thinking, this positive, create your own world, create your own experience. And I'm trying to figure out how many people were able to create an experience where COVID doesn't exist. I'm trying to understand where they've created a reality, a state, a country where mask mandates and vaccines and COVID-19 doesn't exist if things really are positive, that we can control the realities that stands before us. Because the fact that if we can control this, why is it that we're still living in bondage? Why is poverty still an issue? Why is sickness still an issue? Why is it that we're still in this effect that we can't breathe, we can't live, we can't do exactly what we want to do if the power of positivity and all the other different things truly does exist? Does anyone have an answer for me? Bueller? Listen, you have to understand something. We are in a position here where if we don't get this understood, if we don't get an answer to this, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people in 2020, as there are already before it ends. I cannot believe, what is today? Today is the 14th. We are 17 days away from the end of this nightmare called 2020, and who knows what 2021 is actually going to bring. But here it is. I found this article this morning, The New Age of Aquarius, and what it means for you in 2021. This month, Jupiter and Saturn will meet to make one magnificent Christmas star. Top astrologer Yasmin Bolin reveals the meaning of the celestial wonder. She said Henry IV was on the English throne the last time such an event happened. Their great conjunction takes place longest night of the year. And for astrologers, in the next few days mark an event of almost unique significance and rarity. The last time it happened, Henry IV was on the English throne, and we're halfway through the 100 Years' War. Hogwash. Oh my goodness, this stuff kills me. This stuff kills me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's insane. The insanity of insanities. As we sit here and we watch this thing go underway with every different mysterious phenomenon on this. If you want to understand where I'm going to tell you to go, you know where I'm going to go. You know where I'm going to tell you to go every time. I'm going to tell you to go to the Word of God if you want to understand. You remember in 2012 where everybody got to December 20th in 2012 and they were really worried about, was the Mayan calendar, the fulfillment of the prophecies, was it actually going to happen? And here we are, almost 8 years later, and there is no Mayan prophecy that has, Woody Harrelson and everything else that he was talking about did not come to pass. There are no continents colliding and falling apart and planes zipping and the oceans flooding. No, none of that is happening. None of that is taking place. The Age of Nefarious. The way I break this down to you, you have to understand where we are today is because of a lot of government corruption to be where we are a long time ago. Now, we look at the things of socialism. We look at the faces of communism, Stalin, and we look at the fascists like Hitler and Pol Pot and the baby Doc, Papa Doc in Haiti and everything like that. But see, we have a whole new breed. We have a whole new face of socialism and nefarious people that we don't even have to look at those faces anymore. I mean, if we were going to bring anybody in from the late 20th century, probably say it would be Bill Clinton because of his nefarious deeds that has sullied the White House. He has sullied the moral fiber of our country. Yes, if I was going to start in the late 19th century, I wouldn't have to go all the way back to the 1930s or even the 1970s. I'll just go to the 1990s with former President Bill Clinton and his wife in the Age of Nefarious. So we sit here and we watch the craziness, and we look at the signs and we look at the stars, and I'm telling you that I'm looking at the insanity of these people who have plagued our government institutions, who have plagued our offices of government, and become lifetime criminals, lifetime politicians who have affected the landscape of what America looks like. But let's move into the 20th century, and I'll tell you that one of the faces that really is an age of nefarious, he is really an age of compromise, is George Bush, George W. Bush, who I voted for in 2004. You know, the president that took us through 9/11 and everything that went on. But you know what? As 9/11 came in, and yes, it was a difficult thing, dealing with the 3,000 lives that were lost as a result of 9/11, okay? 3,000 lives lost. It's a difficult thing that you have to deal with. However, one of the things that was one of the worst decisions that were ever made, and I didn't agree, I didn't approve it, I rejected it just as it happened, and that was the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act, which was the first level of attack against our freedoms, against everything that it meant to be an American citizen. Our liberties were lost for the price of feeling safe. The Age of Nefarious began with the Patriot Act and the NDAA and so many other different things that have affected us, but I would dare say that George Bush, in his face of saying he's here to protect American citizens, he's here to make our lives easier and freer, we lost our liberties the day that they signed that insanity. The Age of Nefarious, and if you look at it and I show you that everybody is fearful, everybody is compliant to pass laws to make us feel comfortable. We'll do anything if it makes us feel more comfortable and safe. We don't care what laws are violated as long as we feel safe. We don't care what rules, what common sense is rejected as long as we feel safe. The Age of Nefarious is rampant. See, I couldn't get this out. I was trying to figure out a word that was going to rhyme and have the right syllables as Aquarius, and I was sitting there, I'm struggling this morning. I'm figuring out what is the word, what's the phrase going to be, and nefarious just came out of nowhere, and I said exactly, the Age of Nefarious. Where everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants to be safe, and no one wants to lose their freedoms. Well, not their freedoms. No. They don't want to lose their financial security. They don't want to lose their health security. They don't want to lose their education security. They don't want to lose all these different things that, honestly, to tell you the truth, these are just aspects of life that really don't have a promise or a guarantee. The only thing that the only thing we're guaranteed in life are death and taxes? Yeah, Brian Keith basically says, I don't want to go into 2021 unless I get to see some previews. If like 2020, I don't want to go. Yeah. Someone, I remember I saw a meme that basically says, I'm staying up and waiting till to 21 just so I can watch 2020 leave. Okay, so they want to see 2021 come in so they can see 2020 leave. But there was another good meme that actually showed it's like that black guy with the shock face when it was December 31st. And 11:59 and 59 seconds, and then it was December 31st, 11:59 and 60 seconds. because 2020 has been so nefarious. It wouldn't doubt if we actually ran into a situation where it just went to the next year, and we were completely shocked that 2020 calendar has not 2020 calendar did not disappear, and it did not go away because the fact that 2020 just wants to hold on. Oh my goodness, that would be so funny. Oh, I would not die laughing, but I would laugh pretty hard if that was it. I don't know if any of you who've watched, it's not Looney Tunes. What was the name of this? It was the junior version of the Looney Tunes. And it was this one episode where they were sitting in class, and this guy was waiting. The student was Tiny Toons? And they were waiting for the clock to click down. They were like, oh my goodness, I gotta get out of this class. I can't wait. And all they were doing was studying the clock over and over and over again. And I laughed at this because I always found myself doing the same exact thing, even in my early morning classes in school. Worst thing you could do is put a clock on the wall and a whole bunch of students who do not want to be in class be there. And there were times, I'm not lying to you, I felt like the clock went in reverse. I was like, what are you doing? Get out of here. This is not fair. This is nefarious, because I don't want to be here any longer. Well, I feel like many of us will feel like if 2020 continues, and actually, you know how, office, buildings never have a 13th floor, but they have the 14th floor, which is technically the 13th floor. I believe that we won't have a 2021. We'll just have an extended 2020 to drive us up the wall. Well, the reason why I'm here in the Age of Nefarious, it brings us down to this scary moment. This scary moment for all of us. And it's the idea that here it is. First Pfizer vaccines arrive in the states across the country, ready to be administered today, after the U.S. set a 7-day records for COVID deaths, cases, and hospitalizations. So here we are. The moment has arrived. All fear, everything that we have dreaded for so long has finally come upon us. And there's nothing we can do about this, because they're about to dispense this vaccine. And what we've been told is not mandatory. Somehow, some way will work its way in. I leave this visit for you, the picture of you to see the vaccines in great shipment as you watch the Age of Nefarious hit us and affect us. This, yes, thank you, Sarah, Tiny Toons and Baby Loons. Oh my goodness. Here it is. We are about to be affected, where our rights are injected away one shot at a time. Our rights will be affected. Our rights will be removed. Our rights will be diluted with a saline shot of safety. Our rights will be diluted with a saline shot or saline drip of safety. And this is exactly where we are right now as we look at this shipment taking, breakneck speed as we have this vaccine. Remember, the expert Dr. Fauci said nothing would be available for 18 months, and 9 months later, we're looking at a vaccine. If anything is barbaric, if anything is nefarious, in the desperation of people wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel secure, we broke lines, we broke protocols, we broke the process to make people feel safe and secure. And baby, it is cray-cray. It is cray-cray to see exactly how far we have gone, how far the tree of liberty has been chopped down for the sake of safety. You know, we talk about, George Washington chopping down the cherry tree COVID and fear chop down the liberty tree. Yes, Keith, I like what he says here earlier. The Patriot Act proved Ben Franklin correct. He who is willing to give up a little liberty in exchange for temporary security will get and is entitled to neither. True. Very, very true. That we're willing to sacrifice our liberties just for a little safety. You will neither get liberty nor will you get safety. Both of those are a farce. Those are wishful thinkings, hoping that you will be freed from the tyranny to come. And I don't believe you fully understand how badly this is going to end. Yeah, this is not going to go well. And see, and here's the thing about it I find that's very interesting as we sit here and we find out that, hey, Trump says that, check this out. Trump says that his staff will have to wait to get the COVID vaccine. Trump says that his staff will have to wait to get the COVID vaccine because of the fact that he reverses his decision to give the White House officials a dose this week as it's first distributed to the frontline healthcare workers. His tweet came after a report claimed the high-ranking Trump officials would be among the first to get the vaccine ahead of the general public. And he says people working in the White House should receive the vaccine somewhat later in the program unless specifically necessary, he said. He said he'll take the vaccine at the appropriate time. At the appropriate time. At the appropriate time. See, a lot of you right now, like I said, I hung up my banner as a never Trumper the election night 2016, or election morning the next day 2016. But I still had my reservations. I pray for the president. I pray for his great decision-making process and everything like that. But you have to understand something. And it's the whole idea of the 4D chess, the 5D chess, and everything like that. Exposing the media, exposing the corruption, and all these other different things. There was a level of humility that was needed in his part to reach across the aisle and touch America. Yes, I know that there's some people who didn't want to change, but the president was playing this strategery game to affect what we have here. But here it is right now. Many Americans, butthurt Americans, at this particular point, there were a lot of different things that the president said that I believe that was moving towards uniting the country. And then unfortunately, there was a media against him. There was a political party against him. There were a lot of even Americans, willfully ignorant Americans who wanted to believe a lie regardless of the truth that was out there. But I believe there still was an act of compunction on his part that he needed to show some level of humility, cut back on the tweets, and actually show that he cared. The throwing of the mask thing after having COVID, a lot of people living in fear. You know what? I was cool with everything until he threw the mask. Until he threw the mask out into the crowd, I was perfectly happy with his recovery as convenient as it is in the time and everything that went on. Because I don't understand how back then you could take the shots that you needed to recover from COVID, but now it's an appropriate time when you will choose to take the vaccine. The drama that's been played out on our hearts of American citizens as we sit here waiting to find an end to this nightmare called lockdowns, restrictions, and everything like that you can imagine. Here we are waiting again for this to come to pass, to come to an end. And it won't. And it won't come to it won't come to an end because we are doomed. We are doomed to see this out. You know what? I'm praying that the Lord will help us. I'm praying that the Lord will help us through this nightmare on its way. Yes, Kerry, he is too old and he needs to retire. This idea of him wanting to come back in 2024 and run if he doesn't get elected president, that's a nightmare, and we shouldn't celebrate that idea. He needs to chill out. He needs to retire because he's part of the Age of Nefarious. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio. Let's go to a break, and I'll talk to you on the flip side. From COVID to lockdowns, to riots, to elections, 2020 has been nothing but a constant withdrawal for people around the world, and especially the United States. It's not only the mental and spiritual withdrawals, but the financial ones as well. Many businesses are closing their doors because of the lockdowns and no income. Sadly, many Americans are finding locks placed on the doors of their homes because of foreclosure due to the loss of income from extreme lockdown measures. Total Money Makeover does not prevent the pain. It attempts to proactively mitigate in the risk of financial failure because of these uncertain times. Budgeting is more essential now than you ever could imagine. Now is the time to make certain our finances are in order. Consider ordering Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey today. It is essential. Triggering change one heartbeat at a time. That is the purpose of Battle for Freedom. My biggest challenge is helping people see that they are constantly moving and never settled. They are not settled in life because they are spiritually and mentally homeless. James Otis wrote the following on the writs of assistance in 1761. One of the most essential branches of English liberty is the freedom of one's house. A man's house is his castle. I host Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday for this very reason. Our homes are tattered because we have made too many allegiances to ideologies and movements solely created to keep us distracted, divided, and distanced from our foundation. Join me on Battle for Freedom, where I trigger change one heartbeat at a time. Battle for Freedom. Welcome back, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio. You know what? My website, battleforfreedom.com, battle4freedom.com. But also, part of being part of Mojo 5 Radio is I want you to go to mojo50.com, mojo50.com, and I want you to do a couple of things. I want you to do me a favor when you go there. I want you to subscribe. Sign up. You will not get spammed. I assure you. I've had a subscription to Mojo 50 for almost 2 years now. And actually, it's interesting. Is it next week? Is it next Sunday? It will be officially 2 years and I've been part of this amazing network. Yes! Awesome! Loving it. Loving it. So as we sit here and we watch this whole process unfolding, go to Mojo 50, sign up. You won't get spammed, like I said. I also want you to do me a favor when you click the button schedule, because there are a lot of great programs. You have to understand, I'm not the only program on here. I appreciate a lot of you who listen to me early in the morning, in the afternoon, or even later in the day. It doesn't matter. But I appreciate you listening to me. But there's so many other different, listen. Daily Mojo comes on about 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. After that, you have, and this is live that you can check out. You have Gwen Rich, who comes on 11. There's various shows that come on at 12. You have Mike Phillip with American Rock Radio at 2. We have Right Now with Jim Dawes at 3. We have at 5 p.m. you have Andrew Coppins and with Critical Thinking and Pat Oney. At 6 p.m. you have PC Correct Radio with Stu Peters and Leonard Richard. He'll come to me in a second here. Dominic Izzo at 7 to 9 p.m. And then you have at 9 p.m. with Dominic Izzo, the Rants of Izzo. Then you have it at 9 p.m. You basically have Defenders Live. This is just through the week. And then again, at 12 and noon and 10 p.m. you usually have different programs, like I believe Black Man Thinking is today. But then on the weekends, on Sunday nights and on Sundays, you have Dr. Doug Ramsey in the morning. You have You have at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have Off Track. You have the Off Track Railroaded Team who comes on at that time. And on Saturdays, you have you have Room 13. You have Matthew, the Hollow Net that comes on. You have so many different programs. The Bells of Liberty, Room 13, and a million Offline with Jason Gouffre. I'm giving you a whole bunch of these names, but it makes it a lot easier if you just go to mojo50.com/schedule and go there. But while you're at Mojo50, when you're done listening to schedule, put the schedule off to one side and then go to the shop button and pick up, if you can, some of the 2020 gifts and just things and paraphernalia from Mojo50 Radio as we close out this crazy year called 2020 and the nefarious things that have gone on. If you want to review some nefarious, you get yourself some paraphernalia from Mojo50 Radio shop. Yeah. And tell them that Brad Stack from the Daily Mojo sent you. Oh, and Pat Oni is on Saturdays as well. Thank you very much, Raquel Lee, as she's part of Room 13 with Fish, who comes on the weekends. Listen to them. It is tantalizing stuff. I don't know. This crazy voice thing I've been doing all weekend, it's been really crazy. It started yesterday with my friend allowing me to preach in his church again yesterday. I'll share links out to that sermon. Had a great time yesterday preaching and teaching the word again, and going from there. But listen, mojo50.com. Check us out. Check it out. You can't go wrong. So I'm sitting here and I'm talking about the whole idea of the Age of Nefarious. The Age of Nefarious. Here we are as we work our way through all the different things. Mind you, in the first segment, I sat there and I talked about where the Age of Nefarious, where we are right now, began with the likes of George Bush. It started with the Patriot Act. It started with the NDAAs. And then it wove its way into the failures of Congress to start changing the laws and restrictions. And when it came to common sense and predatory lending and putting it in, actually, that stuff began during Bill Clinton's administration. And then you had something that happened in the late terms of the lame duck terms of George Bush's presidency, where the Democratic Congress made a lot of changes to the rules and regulations that affect housing and everything like that. And then we had the big economic doom, the economic doom that happened in 2008, where we had a market crash. We had all indexes crash. So crash worse than what we had in 2001 with September 11th and the destruction of the Twin Towers. 2008 was far worse than what happened in 2001 with the bombing and the terrorist attacks that hit America. But you have to understand the seeds of that was sown a long time ago. To collapse this economy, to destroy this economy, to destroy the hope that people would have, because immediately after, hope and change brings in stimulus after stimulus after stimulus after bailout after bailout after bailout. And a lot of people believe that it was the government's responsibility to sit here and bail businesses out, but it's not. See, a lot of businesses are making money right now, and a lot of businesses are properly investing, but I believe that there are a lot of businesses that aren't properly investing in their people and in their security, regardless of whatever the landscape looks like over the next couple of years. See, a lot of companies have decided that they wanted to take a lot of their money and just spend like crazy, live it up like there's no tomorrow. I saw something yesterday. I'll share this later, because of the fact that it's so nefarious. Oh yeah, it only drips of the spirit of corruption that has weighed its way through. Has weighed its way through so many lives in America, so many businesses, so many areas that affect American lives like there's no tomorrow. I'm gonna share with that. I'll share that with you in a minute here, because it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see how far corruption will go, how nefarious people will be when you think that they really care about us. They really don't. So you have 2008, let me continue this. 2008, we have the crash. 2009, Barack Obama comes in with all the different things of changing everything and making everything happy and singing rainbows and lilies and dancing unicorns. We have Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act, where you could keep your plan. You can keep your doctor, you can keep everything, which we found out that the lie detector proved that was a lie. Thank you, Maury Povich. So, but the thing about it is that you have to understand that Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, it really wasn't this answer all deal to make everybody feel comfortable and feel secure in what they were. No, Obamacare was another beast of a program like Social Security that was supposed to give a false sense of hope, but become this permanent fixture in America that's just another thing eating away at American citizens' liberties and their freedoms and their finances, because someone has to pay for Obamacare. If someone has to pay for this thing, and it's coming out of our taxes. Even though they say it's not a tax, it's a tax. Even though they say that it would not affect us, those of us who have money, those of us who are trying to pay off our bills, those of us who have families to take care of, we're being charged higher on our insurance premiums to cover the cost of Obamacare. Just like a lot of us, those nonsense nickel and dime fees that you get on your cell phone plan, and you're trying to understand, how did I go from paying $50 a month and it's just me on my plan, and now I'm paying an extra $25 in here to and there to fees and taxes just to have a cell phone? I can understand if it was $50 plus tax, and let's go 7% tax, and then you just add maybe one or two more fees. I can't see it going over $55. There's no reason for a cell phone bill. It's supposed to, if you're paying $50 a month, that you should be paying more than $55 when it's all said and done. But they nickel and dime us, and Obamacare was just another means of obliterating our freedoms and our financial security. And here, the age of nefarious continues. The age of nefarious continues. Where we were told that the Obama administration was scandal-free. This is what you say is the age of nefarious, because I say that even though most of us know about the Fast and Furious, we know about the IRS, we know about the scandals of the AP, and we know about Benghazi and all these other different things, it's nefarious that actually there are people, and many of them call themselves Christians, who utter the idea that the Obama administration was scandal-free. It's nefarious because we understand that the media did everything that it can to paint the previous administration as rosy, beautiful, and nothing to complain about. America arrived and achieved a new level of compassion and common sense and the end of racism because of hope and change and forward. The age of nefarious. Oh, I wish I did not shave my beard. I wish I could have had that little curly mustache where I would have curled up my mustache to just fit the idea of the nefariousness that's going on right now. And then we see the nefarious last 4 years of trying to disprove that the president was properly elected in this country. The age of nefarious. It continues to boggle my mind that here we are, unfree, unpeopled, unfree. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I got to go back to him for a second here. There was a level of nefariousness on the part of the president because all he had to do was chill out on the texts. All he had to do was chill out on the tweets. All he had to do was just work with us. Now, I don't like the likes of many of these modern day preachers and prosperity preachers and these mega church pastor preachers and who sit there and they go on their way to try and they go out of their way to morally bankrupt President Trump. They go out of their way to talk about how negative Nancy he is, and I've shared my concerns of what he's done, but I appreciate the good things he has done as President of the United States of America. But these ideas of the nefarious people, these preachers who sit out there, you sit here and you talk about Donald Trump, but you were completely silent against Bush. You're completely silent against Barack Obama. Because is it only Franklin Graham the only one who's pointing out? Is Franklin Graham the only one who's pointing out the hypocrisy of George Bush and Barack Obama in their roles of trying to supplant and undermine the authority and undermine the work and success of this president? George Bush, his silence during 8 years of being blamed by everything by Barack Obama, but his chance to now remain silent has been squashed because you know what? George Bush is part of the establishment. It shocks me to see this as many people try to talk about how he was just a career politician. And yes, he was. And yes, he is. And yes, he will be until he stands before the white throne of judgment before God and when God will deal with the inconsistencies of former President George W. Bush. It is very sad. Again, my heart breaks to the reality that I actually voted for him. If I knew, but 2020 is not often afforded to us. The 2020 hindsight vision. Honestly, 2020 has proven that hindsight vision doesn't matter. It doesn't care because of the fact that anything can happen in the year 2020. Anything is possible. I know a lot of you are holding out. You're holding out and you're hoping out for the fact that Donald Trump he'll somehow, some way that the Senate will vote for him and the electoral colleges will say, you know what, even though there was all this voter fraud and even though the numbers say that we should go this way, we're going to vote for Trump anyway. Isn't that the big decision tomorrow? Is it today or tomorrow that the big decision is being made? And we'll find out how nefarious this can go because the electoral college can still, at the end of the day, and even the nefariousness of the Supreme Court, who doesn't want to argue the case of clear corruption that's going on with all the testimony that we have out there. You think that there was barely hundreds of people who went to testify against Donald Trump and the Ukraine debacle and Russian collusion. We have thousands of people who are testifying to the apparent corruption that happened during the election process, the nefarious works that took place during the election process. We don't need to see anything. It's okay. Nothing for us to worry about. Let's go by your day because the fact that everything is about the masks, everything is about lockdown, everything is about virus and feeling secure. And here's one you want to talk about. This is what it's nefarious in the title, but it's also nefarious in the activity. New Yorkers head out for last suppers before Cuomo's ban on indoor dining begins today amid fears new COVID measures will deliver a devastating blow to city's restaurants. New Yorkers head out for a final night of indoor dining. He announced the ban, and Cuomo says the ban will avoid a citywide shutdown of all non-essential shops in the run-up to Christmas. But the restaurateurs warn it will be a hammer blow for their businesses, with more than half facing closure. Movie theaters are already closing. AMC's already closing. Is it AMC? Not AMC. Regal. Regal's closing its theaters. So many different businesses, so many shops. Ruby Tuesday's gone, a staple of American dining, gone. American theater's gone. All to feel safe from a virus that kills 0.003% of the people infected by it. Now, that 0.003% is no laughing matter. It is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing that is anything higher than zero. But one of the things in this idea of being fearful of life and so many different things is that for some strange reason, we act like death will never come to pass. And I'm trying to figure out why is it that people keep thinking that death will never plague us. I have a friend who's lost his father about 2 months ago. He lost his grandmother last week. Death, even though it's an unavoidable reality and it's something that we have to deal with. Even now, 17 days from now, will be the 32nd anniversary of my mother's death. The 32nd anniversary of my mother's death. And it still hurts. It still hurts. I wish she was here to see my bride. I wish she was here to see my kids, to hug my kids. She'll never do that. And it's something that I've had to resign myself with, the fact that every now and then that thought comes up. I wish my mother was here to hug her grandchildren. Or even if she never saw my grandchildren see my beautiful bride come down the aisle 9 years ago. So, to sit there and watch that moment as my face lit up to see how beautiful she was then and how beautiful she is now. I wish my mother could entertain these moments. Death is an unfortunate thing, but it's an inevitable thing. But because of fear, because of lies and deceptions, we have forfeited our securities. Amen, Carolyn. I put my hope in nothing less than Jesus Christ. Amen. Our hope is in Jesus Christ. It doesn't mean that you can't deal with the emotions of loss. Never think I'm ever saying this. Loss is part of our lives. Loss is how we grow. Loss is because every moment in life is not a high mountaintop experience. The world is not a full flat plain from beginning to end. We have mountains, we have valleys, we have rivers, we have so much. We have so many different ways that our earth and moving about the earth changes the slopes, the everything you can imagine. And I think it's a nefarious thing for us to believe that death is something that shouldn't happen. I believe that it is nefarious for us to believe that people will live forever. It is nefarious, I tell you, because the fact that people do not realize that death, Hebrews 9:27, it says, is appointed for a man to die once and then comes the judgment. But that judgment is removed from you if Christ is your hope, as Carolyn said. If Christ is your hope. Because if you don't have that hope, death, it is something to fear. It is something to fear. And and the thing about it that just breaks your mind and breaks your heart is that people they go to their death. They go to death rejecting Christ, rejecting hope, rejecting peace because of the fact that they've been led to believe that there's so much more to life I must live that I don't want to face death anytime soon. Me, I sit here as a father to 3 beautiful girls, and I have a 1-year-old son. When will we become grandparents? When will I become a grandparent? I don't know. Will I have the opportunity to walk my daughters down the aisle? I don't know. Christ may come back before then. Would it be a moment that I would ugly cry because I'm walking my daughters down the aisle? Oh, most definitely. Would it be a moment that I would ugly cry because of the fact that I'm holding my first grandchild? Oh, most definitely. But that's not, while it's something I would hope to experience, it's not something I'm going to go to the grave regretting God never let me experience. I will say, thank you, Lord, that you've given me beautiful children, a beautiful wife, beautiful friends and family, a job, a home, and so much more. But most important, you gave me hope because of Christ. Not having that reality and outlook in life, that's nefarious, and that's horrible. In restaurateurs in New York, they're losing hope. Here's one I thought that was really interesting, and this is going to be crazy because I don't know how many of you heard about this, about the idea Dramatic video shows moment police fatally shoot a man yelling, "Kill me," on the steps of Harlem Cathedral after he opened fire at a Christmas concert as terrified attendees hid behind a street lamp. Now, what's really interesting about this, and I'm going to tell you why this is nefarious. I'm going to tell you why this is nefarious. Because of the fact that this spills up to the anti-gun legislation that will be affecting everyone under a Biden administration. Make no mistake, they said they weren't coming for guns. We're going to find this. And every last one of you, when we tried to tell you that this was going to happen, we tried to tell you that this was going to happen, and you didn't believe us. Help us, Lord. Help us. Help us. Help us. I don't understand how many of us could think that this wasn't going to happen. I don't know how many of us could think that this wasn't going to be a situation that was going to affect us. Lord, help us, because this is going to be bad. This is going to be a horrific thing affecting us. Here it comes. Here's another one that's nefarious as all get out. Bill Gates finds himself on the face on this thing, saying his predictions during an interview with CNN on Sunday, it came as the U.S. sets new set of records for cases and hospitalizations and deaths over a 7-day period. And he said, sadly, for the next 4 to 6 months could be the worst of the epidemic. And he went on to signal that the restrictions could go far into 2022. You want to talk about a face of nefariousness? Bill Gates. This is a face of nefariousness. Oh, but he has the Gates Foundation, and they go around the world saving people and giving people inoculations in Africa against their will because they're trying to save them from any diseases that could. Yes, and I want to go back to the movie 2012 for a second here. You remember that movie 2012 with John Cusack and and Woody Harrelson, and it was about the Mayan prophecies, and the earth falls apart, and the earth is flooded as tidal waves, and everything gets destroyed, right? What was the one continent that still remained in the midst of everything going on? Africa. Africa. Now, you have to understand why Africa is so key right now. It's not because it's the motherland of black people. Africa is the motherland. Africa is probably the most secure continent for anyone to move to in the midst of any cataclysmic natural event. Well, I mean, seriously, when you think about this, what kind of natural disasters are taking place in Africa? Huh? When you think about this, they said that most of the African continent in the movie 2012 did not go underwater. Yes, the coastlines will probably be gone. But yes, when we sit here and we look at the natural resources, when we look at the Congo, and they're turning around and they're killing off the Congolese, they're killing off the people for their natural resources, and they're going in there, they're giving them these diseases as what was it? It was Ebola. A new strain of Ebola going in and wiping out most of the Congolese population as they sat there putting their people, these children, in the mines or mining these natural ores and resources around the African continent. And who's going around the African continent supposedly helping these people? This monster, this beast, this evil, wicked man. Everybody sits here spending all your time talking about George Soros. I tell you, the face of Microsoft Windows is the face of the window of hell. He is turning around and he's killing people off the African continent so he and his evil people can take over and give and take away our freedoms and take away our rights and kill. Genocide at the hands of the bourgeoisie, of the elitists, is happening at record numbers because everybody wants to feel safe. You're not guaranteed safety from death. You're not guaranteed safety from death. Think about this. They took all the guns away in Chicago from law-abiding citizens. They've outlawed guns, and you still have crime in Chicago. You still have crime in D.C. You still have crime in New York. People are still dying by guns, even though in the states with the highest restrictions of guns. And here was the last one that I thought was really sad as you sat here and you looked at this. This was a crazy one. This woman and her family, couple were kicked off of a United flight to New Jersey after their 2-year-old daughter refused to wear a mask. Elise Orban shared a clip of her husband and daughter getting kicked off the plane because a 2-year-old wouldn't wear a mask. The age of nefarious is here. The age of nefarious is here. Lord, help us because of the fact that I believe that this is only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Good morning. It's Monday. I've scared the poop out of you. But hey, listen, the age of nefarious comes to an end. And the Daily Mojo's up next. If you're listening in the morning, in the afternoon, remember you have Pat Oney joining Andrew Coppins in Critical Thinking. And so much more. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. Take care, folks. I'm out, and God bless.